Episode 22 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Tonight's show, my goodness, we've got so much on tap tonight. The NHL Trade Deadline's on Friday. We're going to talk about the surprise teams that probably won't make the playoffs, including my Leafs, and the surprise teams that will make the playoffs. We're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic starting Friday, the four pools and the players to watch. We'll talk about the post-Olympic Leafs on Chew on That. Should they do a rebuild, or can they fool themselves into doing a retool? And is Brad Treliving the guy to do either? The Lincolns win 2 of 3 last week, including a big one Friday night over the Warriors at the PRC, and are now 1 point out of first place. Elmira Sugar Kings take down the London Nationals 5-4 Sunday night in a shootout. They're now tied for first place with the Chatham Maroons. The Warriors, they're bitten by the injury bug. They go 0-3 last week and have fallen into a tie with London for fourth place and possible risking home ice advantage in the first round. All that and more on the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered.
Gentlemen, how's Schenker and Halser tonight?
Good, man. Really good.
Yeah.
Ready to get at her. All right. Well, let's hear from our sponsors with the Best Western Arden Park, and let's get into trending, boys.
This trending segment brought to you by Best Western Plus Arden Park Hotel, located at 552 Ontario Street, Stratford, located steps from the Festival Theatre, while offering first-class accommodations with an extensive range of services, including conference center, banquet facilities, and heated indoor pool.
All right, the trade deadline's coming up on Friday with the NHL. Who would have thought the Leafs would go from the penthouse to the outhouse? Last year, they were first in the Atlantic Division. Now they're in last. What an absolute shit show in Toronto. Gentlemen, let's talk about a couple of things. Let's go around the horn. I want to ask the two of you, 2 surprise teams that you didn't see making the playoffs, and 2 teams that surprised you not making the playoffs. So, Schenker, I'll start with you. What 2 teams have surprised you that probably are going to make the playoffs this year?
Well, nothing's a guarantee, but right now the Pittsburgh Penguins, for a team that was supposed to be rebuilding, and well, not even rebuilding, just not looking to do anything and just ride out the Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin era, they've seemed to just keep winning and winning. And they got 75 points, second in the Metropolitan, and they beat the good teams. They show up to play every night, and yeah, they're a tough team right now. Now, my second team, I'm going to go to the West and go with the Utah Mammoth. Man, oh man, like, who saw this coming last month? Like, they were pretty much left for dead, and they just went on a huge heater. And they're a young, fast team. And again, Utah/Arizona, right? So hopefully they can keep it going.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's a 90% favorite to make the playoffs. And I got to be the first to admit, I haven't been a Kyle Dubas fan. I hated what he did with Toronto. I thought he's the one that started with Toronto signing the core forward to those ridiculous no trade contracts. And I got to tip my cap to him. He's turned around the Penguins when everybody had them left for roadkill. And then you had mentioned about, what was your second team?
Utah.
Yeah, so they've got a 76% chance of making the playoffs according to Money Puck. So, Halzer, we'll go to your two teams that you're surprised that have a good chance at making the playoffs.
Well, before I dive into that, to Schenker's and your point, I think you have to look at the leadership in Pittsburgh. You know, you look at Kyle Dubas, who we assume is probably pretty much the same guy in Pittsburgh that he was in Toronto. And you could make an argument to say that he's gone from one salary top heavy team to another. But it's the leadership in the room that's different. It's probably the same Kyle Dubas. It's just a different group of guys and being led by a simply flat out better leaders in that room there. So, you know, kudos to Dubas, who took a lot of that heat. But really it was the players that let him down when he was here.
And he had zero pressure down in PA too, right?
Well, it's such a difference there too, right? So anyways, for me, the team that's really jumping off the page for me is Anaheim. I don't think anybody's super shocked that they're making the playoffs, but they came out house on fire at the start of the year, and they've been hot recently, 8 out of 10, 5 straight. And I just think that when you get the right coach in place,
Joel Quenneville,
a lot of things can happen, and that they have really built through the draft as well. They got a lot of young bucks there that are really starting to pan out for them. And they're a team for me that really jumps out, and you say, man, I really like this team. I like to watch them play. And they aren't necessarily a team that, like I said, people thought they wouldn't make the playoffs, but where they're sitting now has really impressed me.
Yeah, like they're a 93% favorite to make the playoffs. I wonder if Trevor Zegras is regretting his decision to want to leave them, right?
Hey, all right. And in the East, for me, it's Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's been on a ridiculous heater since when? Since the New Year? Since December?
Since they brought in the management change.
And again, 7-2-1 in their last 10, 3 straight wins, and looking good doing it. They're just a complete team, and they may make some noise in the playoffs. What an interesting first round it is right now. If the season were over today, it's Buffalo and Montreal in the first round. Ooh. And you're looking at two teams who probably love that matchup because they'll think they have a good chance to get through to the next round. So for me, it's Buffalo.
Okay. Going back to your Anaheim thing, I believe I brought this up maybe a couple months ago. They have 2 guys that the New York area did not want, and Chris Drury didn't want, and Trouba and Kreider. And they're great leaders for that young team right there.
Yeah, Trouba was only the captain for the Rangers, and you've got Drury running him out of town. Like that absolutely made no sense to me whatsoever. And you look at what he's done to the Rangers. Like they were the President's Trophy winners 2 years ago, and now look at them. They aren't even going to make the playoffs this year. So
there's a team on the outside in the Western Conference, which teams should be looking in the rearview mirror, and that's the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
They are young, and they have no worries or anything to worry about. Just play hockey, and they win or lose. Who cares, right?
Well, you're really curious as to where Celebrini's going to go after, because he had the great Olympics playing with the best players in the world, and showing incredible maturity while he's doing it. And you wonder if there's another level to his game that we're going to see in the last 20 games of the season.
They were joking that Celebrini's line mates in San Jose were going, just full disclosure, you're going to have to dumb it down a little bit because we're not Connor McDavid here. So it was funny when they were talking like that. But
the Sharks made a trade before the Olympics too. They brought in Keither Sherwood from Vancouver to kind of bring a little toughness and grit to that team too.
Yeah, they're a year or two away. They've got a 29% chance of making the playoffs this year. So they're still on the outside looking. They're definitely on the upswing. Okay, let's talk about 2 teams that surprise you that won't make the playoffs. Favorites are LA, Nashville, Washington, Florida, Winnipeg, and Toronto. Schenker, who are your 2 teams that you're shocked that aren't going to make it this year, probably?
I wouldn't count out Florida yet, but
They've only got a 6% chance. They lost last night.
I would have to say my two are, one's Winnipeg for sure. And that's due to Hellebuck. Yeah, that's due to Hellebuck's injury earlier in the year and him just not being normal coming back before the Olympics. And then my second team, it has to be the New Jersey Devils. And I'm going to say them and the Rangers are in a tie because in that hockey market of New York, there's no reason for 2 or 3 teams to be completely shit in the bed. Now the Islanders are in the playoffs, but the Devils, you look at this team on paper and they're unbeatable. At the start of the year, they started out 12-2, and ever since then they've just went on a huge slide. They can't stay healthy.
Missing Jack Hughes for 6 or 8 weeks didn't help either.
And Markstrom, he looked terrible his first game back after the Olympics last week too. But the Rangers, I don't even want to talk about them. I'm glad they're shit in the bed.
Yeah, they've got a 0% chance. Them and the Rangers have a 0% chance of making the playoffs. Halser, what about you? What 2 teams have shocked you that probably aren't going to make it?
Well, in the West, for me, it's the Kings. That's a good roster they've got there. They've got good veteran leadership. Had to fire the coach who seemed like, how long ago was it? It couldn't be more than, 18 months ago they hired them. He's only been around a couple seasons. Yeah. And naturally his name's slipping my memory. But anyways, they just replaced him. Yeah. And the other thing with the Kings that might change this is the fact that they picked up Panarin 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah,
but
right
they
before
really
the break.
It hasn't really turned into, they're just 4-5 in the last 9 games. It's just not turning out the way they thought. And so maybe there's room for them to get into the playoffs with a new coach. Maybe we see it sometimes where the guys kind of ease off the gas a little bit when they're done with the coach. Maybe we'll see a different Kings team over the last 20 games, but they're a shocker to me that they're not in the playoffs. In the East, it's Ottawa. Ottawa looked so good in the playoffs last year. As much as I can't stand Brady Tkachuk, I like a lot of the guys on the rest of that team, to be honest with you. Claude Giroux looking like he's 29 again. The young defenseman looked like an absolute world beater last year in the playoffs. He looked so good. So I'm surprised that they're not in. When you consider Florida's out and Toronto's out, you would think Ottawa, who made it last year, would be in, but there they are. And not only they out, they got to pass like 3 teams to get in.
They're 45.7% chance to make the playoffs. They're right behind Boston. Boston's 55%, and then it goes to Ottawa at 45.7.
What's the Kings percentage?
The Kings are 35%.
They're only 3 points back of Seattle and 4 back of Edmonton.
Yeah, I think it's like with the injuries, like Doughty's out, and like their coaching change. And I even heard a crazy one today on the internet that said, don't count out Ken Holland, calling the Leafs and saying, just hypothetically, what would you want for Austin Matthews? Like, that's how crazy and desperate LA is to make the playoffs.
Well, you got to think the phone's ringing on Matthews,
right?
Like, certainly guys who have known the GM and are on first name basis just calling up and say, so is it worth a conversation? Should I send my scouting team, out to have a look at things? Where are we with that? I would be very shocked if Treliving's phone isn't ringing about Austin Matthews, especially with his off-ice situation.
We're going to get into all of that with Graffer. I can't wait to talk about all of the Leaf rumblings and possibilities. So, all right, boys, good stuff. Let's get into swing and a miss. Let's hear from our sponsors, TNT Security Inc., and we'll talk about the World Baseball Classic.
End Zone and Fantasy. Brought to you by TNT Security Inc., where security meets reliability. Call Todd Schmidt today for a security quote on your concert, dance, sporting, and alcohol event, business, property, or mobile patrol security.
Okay, starting on Friday, we've got the World Baseball Classic opening up in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Tokyo, Miami, and Houston. The current odds for DraftKings, USA are the favorites to win. They're minus 110. Japan is the second favorite at plus 330. Then you got the Dominican Republic at plus 450. Venezuela is at plus 900, and then Puerto Rico at plus 1800. Halzer, we'll start with you. What do you want us to know about the World Baseball Classic?
Well, I mean, if you love baseball, this is for you. The only thing that is not great that you can't do anything about is the fact that the starters aren't stretched out. Obviously, in the first 2 weeks of March, you can't ask a starter to go 110, 120 pitches, even 90 pitches. They're probably going to pitch 3 or 4 innings. They're going to get into the bullpen quickly. The guys showed up at camp early, so they're ramped up to, I would be surprised to see someone throw any more than 70, maybe, pitches. A lot of guys will only make one start. There's been a couple of pitchers out there rumbling that they're only going to make one start during the tournament. So, teams have to be real deep at pitching. But at the end of the day, when you get down to the brass tacks, it's just like the Olympics. Once you get rid of your Frances and Italys and Slovakias, you get some good hockey going on, and it'll be the same thing with the baseball teams. Power rankings from MLB.com are slightly different than the odds, and I'm not surprised. They've got Japan at the top of their power rankings, USA number 2, the DR number 3, Venezuela 4, and Mexico is 5. The cool thing for Canada, if we want to get right into it in Pool A here, is that they're avoiding, last time in 2023, they had to play the US and Mexico. And so they're not in that division anymore. So anyways, it's just nice. It's nice to have this tournament. I remember going to it. I want to say the 2014 WBC was held at the Dome, one stage of it. I saw 3 games there, had a blast going to watch 2 teams. I think it was Venezuela and Mexico playing in the game. Just had a blast. So many good ball players. So unfortunately, like I said, there's no games going on in Toronto this time. I think the closest one is Miami. So you're just going to have to watch it on TV.
Yeah, Miami and Houston are probably the 2 closest. Just quickly, Pool A with Canada, you've got Puerto Rico, Cuba, Canada, Panama, and Colombia. And then in Pool B in Houston, you've got the USA with Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. So, and then Pool C over in Tokyo, Japan, Australia, Korea, Czechia, and Taipei. And then Pool D in Miami, you've got Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Netherlands, Israel, and Nicaragua. So, yeah, what do you have to say about the World Baseball Classic, Schenker?
Well, I did a little digging last night and this morning to figure out why pitchers like Tarek Skubal and some of these other guys don't want to pitch. And it comes down to insurance. So Japan already said Ohtani's not pitching because insurance is the big issue to the players, and Ohtani doesn't want to take a chance on blowing out his elbow again. And I guess the insurance rate or whatever on him was fine. It's just out the window how much it would have cost to insure his arm. And because MLB teams will not insure anybody when they're playing in this tournament.
Right.
Tarek Skubal, he said he only wants to pitch once, and he's pitching against Great Britain. Like, could you not pick a better team to pitch against? Like, pitching against Great Britain is like pitching against a bunch of 10-year-olds. Like, why even waste your time? And he said after he pitches, he might leave the team, and even if they make the goal, like the championship game, he's just going to come back as a spectator. So my question is, if you're Team USA, why even bother having him on the team? Because you're going to get a win against Great Britain pitching anybody. Like, I don't understand his reasoning, but
I will say this, Shanker. It's a contract year.
true. Yeah.
And, how much is he going to sign for? I think you're looking at potentially maybe $400 million.
Yeah.
And, the only problem that I really have, well, I have two problems. One, can't do anything about it. They hold it at the start of the year before the pitchers are stretched out. The other thing is that it doesn't matter enough to Major League Baseball, and that's what's really frustrating. The NHL gets behind the Olympics. They get behind the Olympics, they send all their best players to the Olympics, there's no issue with insurance at the Olympics. Nobody skips the Olympics for contract years, what have you. They go and they play. But it's not the case in baseball, not even close. I mean, some guys, they're just now starting to load up. The US team is just now, over the last couple, starting to load up on this. But in years past, their top players were not going.
No.
And that was really frustrating for me. As a Canadian, you think, well, cool, don't send your best players. We'll win a couple extra games. But at the end of the day, if you love a sport, you want to watch the best playing. And as much fun as we had watching the Olympics or Four Nations Challenge or anything like that, you want to see the same thing in baseball. I mean, baseball is the only real all-star game left. And so having a tournament like this, and keeping in mind too, remember this is a qualifier for the Olympics. The top two America's teams qualify for the 2028 Olympics. Baseball is coming back to the Olympics in Los Angeles. And, assuming half the world isn't boycotting these Olympics, it's the first time back. And so the USA qualifies as the host, but the next two highest ranked America's teams qualify for the Olympics. And that's why this tournament is so important. But Major League Baseball isn't considering it that important. And that's frustrating to me because you're talking about promoting a sport worldwide. You're playing games all over the place. You're sending teams to Japan. You're sending teams to the Little League field. You're sending teams to the Field of Dreams. You're sending teams to Mexico City. They're playing all over the place. But you don't promote international competitions ahead of the Olympics. This should be their Four Nations Cup. And that's why I'm pissed off here, is that you're 2 years away from the Olympics. This is your Four Nations Cup. You have an opportunity to send your best, play hard, and put on a show and really get people excited about the season and going into getting baseball back in the Olympics. And the fact that all of this stuff, they won't insure their players or anything like that, just frustrating the shit out of me.
And like you said, your starter only has to go 3 innings. Like, to save injury and all that, right? You got a full roster full of pitchers, pitch them. And I looked at every team's roster and their pitching, and every team's weakened pitching, but my dark horse to win is Dominican. They have the best closer on their roster. Their hitting is great. It's just if they can get the pitching to compete.
Who are you looking at, Halser, for a dark horse?
Well, I agree 100%. I think the DR can make a lot of noise here. I think that in a short tournament like this, you can take out anybody. Their lineup is downright scary. And yeah, they can turn it into a 7-inning ball game as well. Another team to watch out for, and this is going to come out totally biased, watch out for Canada. Canada probably has the best roster in their pool. I firmly expect them to at least get through and possibly even win it and share the next level with Puerto Rico. And then whoever they draw after that, like if you win your division, then you're not going to draw the USA. You're not going to draw Japan. You're not going to draw the DR. You might draw somebody like Venezuela, very good team, but also very beatable. So if Canada can play like they can, even though they're missing Freddie, they got lots of good pitching, and their lineup, it's a bit of a soft pool, to be honest with you. And they win that division, they win that pool, and they can skip the top teams in the quarters. Next thing you know, they're Final Four. So watch out for Canada in this tournament.
Yeah, speaking of quarters, semis, and championship, the quarters are in Houston and in Miami, March 13th and 14th. Then the semifinals move to Miami on the 15th and 16th. And then the championship is in Miami as well, March 17th. So lots of good stuff coming in there. So
I'm going to tell you something. some of these coaching staffs, like the U.S., Dominican, and Puerto Rico, their coaching staff is better than some of these teams in this tournament. So,
yeah. All right. Let's hear from our sponsors from work. And we got Dave Graff sitting in the wings. Can't wait to see what he has up his sleeve for the Leafs. So we'll hear from our partners at work, and we'll be right back with Dave Graff.
Chew on that with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
Yes, Guy.
What's going on tonight, fellas?
There's a lot of those at the games these days, Graffer.
Yeah.
Graffer, is that you or Razor driving the bus?
Yeah, it's probably I'm probably in the passenger seat.
He's riding shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh, what an absolute debacle.
I got tickets for a couple weeks, so I'm just practicing the headway here when I take the boy in a couple weeks to see the Islanders.
A guy at my work was at Saturday's game. I said I turned the game on, and then I seen the Leaf shots after second period, and I had to do a double take. He goes, "Oh, don't worry." He goes, "We left after the second period. That's how bad it was." I was like, "Ouch."
Which game was? Oh, obviously the game
against
Saturday,
Ottawa.
Yeah.
No,
Saturday night.
The kicker to this is, Shanker, you might not be old enough, but Razor and Halsey remember 1979 when Ballard fired and rehired Nielsen within days because no one else wanted the job, and then he wanted to go and put a paper bag on it. Literally, Ballard wanted to put a paper bag on his head and go behind the bench so the fans wouldn't know who's coaching. Like you can't.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, I got to take this off, but that was the kicker for the. that was the kicker for the paper bag.
And somehow that team was better than this one.
Yeah, that's true. I think I was in Brownie B back then playing for Crane Plumbing, and I remember the big deal about Ballard wanted him to wear a paper bag behind the bench.
And there's Roger behind you too.
Yep, that's Roger
in the background. Yeah,
that was that game that he wanted him to wear the paper bag. He said, "I'm not wearing a paper bag."
The old Maple Leaf Gardens.
No, you guys know the stats. I think 14-5 in the 3 games back, 10-3 in 2 games against non-playoff teams in Florida and Ottawa. Outshot 18-2 in a period, I think, one of the periods. And I was looking through the stats, and, I went on about the Leafs there when I was doing the Queen video one back in December there. Remember when I was doing the whatever song that was?
Oh, yeah. The Bohemian Rhapsody in your car.
Yeah. And, I think at that time, there was still hope, I think, for Leafs fans. And obviously I'm biased. But, you look at the stats now, and I know stats aren't everything, but there's guys here. Domi -20, Riley -18, Nyes -18, Tavares -20. Jake McCabe, believe it or not, is a +14. That's how good a player he is. But anyway, they're just not a good team. And, we can all sit and say, Marner went and signed with Vegas and you replaced him with, more third, fourth line type guys. So you did nothing to replace his 100 points because you basically just swapped out a few third, fourth line guys. You did nothing to replace a top line player per se. So, you can definitely say that. And then you look at what they can do going into Friday. And that's what I want to chat about with you guys. You got McMahon, Lawton, OEL, Ekman Larson, Roy, Robertson, McCabe, Carlo, Benoit. There's probably your top 8 guys that are trade bait. But in my opinion, maybe McCabe. But I don't think Carlo and Lawton fetched a first rounder from Treliving last year for the Leafs. There's no way they're getting first rounders back for those two. Not a fucking chance. They might be lucky to get a third for either one of those. Maybe a second if somebody reaches. But, they're just not going to get and then the other part I wanted your guys' opinion on, do they retool or do they rebuild? There's a big difference, right? Do they try to get something for a few of these bodies and hope that between the picks or stuff they can get, plus what they could sign in free agency with the cap room they got, they could maybe just do a retool? I don't even know if that's doable. So, it's frustrating, right?
It's interesting because just a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, before the Olympic break, they were out on a West Coast swing and they beat Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton, with Edmonton
Right.
really the only good team of the three. And
Calgary's a good win, but you're right. Yeah.
all the good talk leading up to the Olympics was, well, maybe, we can make the playoffs here and make some noise. Well, then they go on to lose Tampa, Florida, Ottawa in succession. And tonight they got Philly. And then Wednesday and Thursday, they're in Jersey and Madison Square Garden. And then Saturday, they're at home to Tampa Bay. There was according to Money Puck, they've got a 1% chance, Graffer,
1%
of making the
make
playoffs.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about them is their biggest trade bait, Bobby McMahon, a guy for a 30-point getter. The market is projecting him to be a $4 to $5 million AAV player between $20 and $25 million. It's going to be interesting. I hope the Leafs don't have a stomach for that, but him and Lawton are their two UFAs, and you alluded to they gave up a first and Nikita Grabenkin last year for Lawton, and they got back Lawton, a fourth and 25 and a sixth and 27, but just they got fleeced, right? And
well, at least they got a couple of those late picks, but
and the same with Carlo, right? They gave up a first this year. Now it's a protected first, but still, you gave up a first for Carlo, and Philadelphia's fourth rounder last year, and Fraser Minton, who was rookie of in January. He's got 29 points right now.
Yeah.
I don't think Brad Treliving is the guy to do either the rebuild or the retool. And it's unfortunate because you've got Keith Pelly that is looking at the dollars and cents. And if the Leafs don't make the playoffs, that's huge revenue lost by MLSE. And so that's what scares me, is that they're going to try and do everything to try and, get the Leafs to at least make the playoffs. And that is the stupidest thing that they could do. They're not going to go anywhere, even if they make it.
I'll go out on a limb for Matthews. I thought he came back with maybe a little more compete in him than some of the guys that hadn't gone to the Olympics, and that, like, these other guys, like a Morgan Riley, he's just fallen off the face of the earth as far as his talent and compete level go.
Yeah.
He's not worth 800,000 a year, let alone $8 million. Like, and he's just one example. I don't want to pick on Riley, but he's just one example of things that just didn't work out. And it's tough to put that on a GM. I'm pretty sure it was a guy who was before Treliving, I think, that signed him, but it's tough to put that part on a GM. But the Marner thing, I mean, yes, we beat the dead horse, but you let a 100-point guy walk, and I think it was the best for both parties. But you couldn't get past the second round with him. How do you expect to do anything without him?
Right.
Like, that math is pretty freaking simple. That math doesn't get any easier,
But it's like we've talked about before, the way that he let Johnny Gaudreau leave in Calgary. I'm talking about Treliving. He let Gaudreau walk for nothing. Shouldn't have done that. Should have managed his asset better and said to him at the trade deadline, look, I either need to extend you or I'm trading you.
Yeah,
and you pick which team you want to go to. The same should have been with Marner. And they apparently had an offer from Carolina, and we all talked about it.
They gave him a no trade raiser. He couldn't.
He's got. You're right, Halser.
But
the
part
there's
that really
ways.
Bothered me is that he didn't accept that trade, and that bothered me when he didn't accept that trade. And I'll tell you why. Because obviously he's gone. He is obviously gone. It was so obvious back then when they're trying to trade you, dude. You're not signing. I mean, they'd known for some time that he was not going to re-sign in Toronto. I thought they did okay, because normally when a guy leaves as a free agent, you get nothing for him. They actually got a player back. You know what I mean? If you get a warm body back for a guy who was leaving anyway, I think you do okay. But I just can't believe he didn't go. Why would you want to stay here? He just wanted to have one more go at the playoffs, get bounced, and then see you later. I'm off to the sunny South to make American money. So,
but he knew he was going away, right? He didn't want
that's
to
what
play
I'm
for
saying.
Carolina. He
Like,
wanted to go to Vegas or out
they
west.
knew he was leaving. Everybody knew he, like, inside, as it turned out, everybody knew he was leaving. There was never any discussion.
And did he have a full no trade?
Yeah.
Was his a
Yes.
full, was it?
Yeah. But after the Four Nations, where he's talking to Stone and some of the other Golden Knights, that set the table that, hey, look at, it'd be really great to come to our organization. And you're right, Halser, he has a full no trade clause, but there's ways around it, threatening to send him down to the minors. Like, there's ways around it to get him.
What does he care, though? Because he's getting paid for his regular season.
Right. It just would have been embarrassing.
Now, what does Toronto look like today if he accepts that trade? Mikko Rantanen comes back.
Right.
They throw him the 12 for 96 that he got, and they've got Mikko Rantanen now in that lineup. And there's your 100 points.
There's your 100 points. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that was poor asset management.
Well, at the end of the day, what could they do? They couldn't do anything with Marner. So I'm the last person to stick up for anybody in Toronto, but this is not Treliving's problem. It was the meathead who gave him a no trade clause in the first place that forced him into this position. He worked out an equitable trade for both sides to give Marner a chance at another team to go on a playoff run. And that's really what shocked me. That's what left me empty on any feelings toward Mitch Marner, is that he had an opportunity. Carolina could have gone deep last year. They had an opportunity to go deep.
They're there every year with that.
Right.
Chance.
They don't have
And
the
you're right.
goaltending.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, though, he wasn't going
right.
anywhere in Toronto, and he knew that.
Yeah.
So he's just saying, I'm just going to play out the string in Toronto, enjoy my last few games. And how did that work out for him? He got booed off the goddamn ice.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the character of Mitch Marner is 100% in question here, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
so.
and to your point, Halls, this is a more almost a Dubas problem that's migrated now into a Treliving problem. And can he do a better job to help the situation? Maybe that's a good question. Maybe his hands are tied, but something's got to give here. I mean, when does Austin Matthews stop towing the company line and say, I want out? Well,
not only that, how soured are a lot of the fans on the relationship with him now? I mean, he's not nearly as popular player. I mean, I know that there's a serious contingent of Toronto fans who are really sore at him for showing up at that event. And,
Saturday night when they were introducing all the Olympic players, Nylander got the biggest round of applause. And when they announced Matthews, there was boos as well as cheers. Like, it was awkward. And the Leafs had no choice. Like, you look at it, the Leafs are the only team that didn't spotlight and have the player at center ice and, acknowledge them with their medal, the gold medal. But he's such an enigma right now. And I'm sure Austin Matthews is the nicest guy because the Leaf players speak highly of him. The American players spoke highly of him as a captain. So he's obviously a good guy behind closed doors. My problem is that when you want to be paid more than Connor McDavid, then you better produce. It's the same with Matthews. Like, if you want to be the highest paid guys at your positions, then you have to produce. And when you're not producing, don't be surprised when the crowd turns on you. It's not
here's
that
the thing.
complicated.
You want to back the bus up even further. What happened? Just think if they would have kept Mark Hunter around instead of Dubas. I don't think you guys would. Exactly. I don't think you guys would be in this predicament right now.
Not a chance.
I don't think you have to rebuild. Like, look at Boston, what they did last year when they got rid of Marchand. They got some key young guys back. They didn't rebuild. They just retooled a bit. And they're competing this year, and they're doing good.
Yeah, they might make the playoffs. They got a 55% chance.
You're not getting players back for what you have to trade. You have to trade a Nylander or a Nyes because I think they're your two best options to get somebody back.
Well, let's face it, like the next couple of years, I really don't think that Toronto was in a position to even retool Shanker, unfortunately. So they need to trade Matthews. Like they need to
I
get
agree.
something, right? And
Yep.
I don't know if you heard us talking before, Graffer, earlier in the show, but I was reading today that somebody was saying, don't be surprised if Ken Holland, because LA's on the outside and they just got Panarin, and they said, I'm not saying that there's going to be a deal, but I can guarantee you Ken Holland is picking up the phone, because both him and Treliving are in awkward situations where both managers thought their teams were going to be in the playoffs and they're on the outside. Well, Toronto has no chance, but LA's got a 35% chance still of making the playoffs. Changed their coaching, and they said, don't be surprised if he doesn't get into a conversation about Matthews. That's not saying it's going to happen, but Brad Treliving should be listening to anybody that phones for any of their players. Nylander, Matthews, doesn't matter. Listen to it, because
and you're right. And I just don't see a way of retooling. I just don't.
I don't
see
either.
Everybody on the Leaf land is talking about past mistakes. Schenker talks about backing the bus up. Let's back it all the way up to when they signed Tavares. The year after they were leading the NHL in goals scored, and they went out and spent $10 million on another goal scorer. Yeah. They could have a goalie. They could have defensemen. At the end of the day, there are so many questionable decisions that have led them to this point. Even the coach. I love the coach personally, but I don't think he's the right guy for the job. He's a guy who needs a bunch of tough hockey players in that room, and there aren't nearly enough tough hockey players in that Leaf room.
No.
I think he could be successful playing his style, and I think that was the plan. I think ownership, believed that Berube was the right guy, because they're going to lose Marner. They're going to score less, so they have to turn this team into a hard-to-play against team that's going to give up a lot less goals because they've lost a lot of goals. But at the end of the day, they don't have that group.
No. They don't have the personnel for that.
They don't have the personnel.
No.
They have the wrong coach. I like the coach, and I think the coach should be employed in the NHL, but I think he's the wrong coach for this job. I just don't think he's got the room that can play the way he wants them to play. And I think that in of itself is probably the fatal flaw in the Toronto Maple Leafs this winter.
They're thinking, well, we got to shore up our defense and not have so many quality shots on our goalies. So they went out and got Tanev, and they went out and got OEL. And unfortunately,
sucks with Tanev being down all year, because he's worth a few wins.
He is, and he's a great shot blocker, right? Yeah. But you look at some of these other teams that are going to make the playoffs, and they've had injuries too. But it's just been terrible. It's been absolutely terrible. Morgan Riley's.
What did Wall end up resigning for?
He's making
6, wasn't it?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
For a goalie, yeah.
You don't even have a clear-cut number one, and he's making 6 per. Yeah.
He is making, actually, no, he's not. He's 3.6.
Oh, 3.6. Okay.
Yeah. Stolar's is 2.5.
So
Walls in the first
they're
year.
They're paying 6 for the both.
Yeah, you're paying 1A and 1B 6.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah. Anyway, so that's basically what you're getting. It's just like between the two, they're worth $6 million, and they can't play the same game though. It's
there's another potential trade chip, because you got Hillaby and some other tenders in the system that you don't have options next year. You can't. Hillaby, they'll lose them on waivers. You can't move.
But when you have no defense, so you can't really blame the goalie either.
No, I'm not saying you can blame them. I'm just saying you could use one as a trade chip.
Oh, absolutely.
The goalies haven't been the problems.
No.
It's been their defensive play. And, you're right, Halser. You've got the wrong coach for this team. Like, Craig Berube won a Stanley Cup. He's no dummy. He knows how to coach in the NHL, and he knows how to motivate guys. But when you've got a Ferrari in Matthews and you're telling him to dump and chase because you don't have the personnel to, like, with Marner and Nylander, and he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want, he works so hard to get the puck. Why the fuck do I want to dump it in and go and retrieve it? Right. So the team has shut Berube out. We're not going to play that way. And it's unfortunate. They're at a stalemate. They've got to get rid of Berube.
It's not fair. It's not fair to Berube either. You're right.
No, it's not.
Both ways.
And unfortunately, The best thing they could do is tear it back to the studs, but they probably won't because you've got Keith Pelly sending out letters to the season's ticket holders telling them we're going to do everything that we can to win a cup. We've just run into injuries. Injuries? Yeah. That's what's got you in last place in the Atlantic when you were first?
One key guy's hurt.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Right.
One key guy.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, listen, it's 1967, so it's 60 years very shortly. It's very depressing to be a Leaf fan year after year, I'm going to say. I'm going to try to stay positive because I'll always be behind them, but 60 years is close, boys, without a cup, and it's tough. So, anyways.
Longest tenure. All right, go play some pickleball, and we look forward to talking to you next week, Graffer.
Thanks, fellas. Be good.
Remember, left hand, Graffer. Left hand.
That's right. Take care, guys. See you guys. Be good.
All right. Dave Graff, we'll chew on that. We'll be right back with boys. Chris Chessel with Chester's Perch.
You can't put a price on a good time. Chester's Perch. The Lincoln's Report. Brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Herr family since 1965.
Oh, look at this guy. He's feeling proud, folks. He's feeling proud. Chris Chessel's in the house. How are you, brother?
Happy Monday, boys.
Yes, happy Monday.
Everybody got the smoke cleared out of their ears from the Leaf talk or what?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, if you have any answers to that, let us know. We're all ears.
Well, the fun part for us, Chess, it's like we're like rubberneckers on the highway. It's not our accident. We're just looking at the other side of the road, going, man, that bus is pretty fucked up.
Well, that's just it. And Razor said, if you're, I'm not looking for answers. I think it's great. I could watch this all day. So
frustrating.
I told them the Leafs should be doing what the Bruins did.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about how's Fraser Minton looking, by the way?
Oh, he was only player of the month in January. So too much.
Good stuff.
Too much. So, well, the week didn't start off very well for you guys last week, but it got better than on Friday and Saturday. So let's start Wednesday. You go to LaSalle, you get outshot, which is unusual, 23-15, and you guys lose in LaSalle 4-1 with Booth Houseco taking the loss, stops 19 of 22. And a name we've talked about previously when he came into the PRC and stoned you guys, Jake Windbeal, stops 14 of 15. Didn't have too busy of a night by the looks of it, Chess. So what happened there?
Yeah, it was a lackluster performance all around from all takes that I've talked to people who've been or watched it. And I tuned in for a little bit of it. It was kind of some of that earlier stuff we saw in February. We're just inconsistent and a little bit of lack of effort. I think there was definitely some frustration with the coaching staff with that game as well. LaSalle has improved immensely since the trade deadline. We talked a little bit about Brocklehurst last time we played them, but there's another kid on that team they picked up from the Spitfires there, Sean Costello. He's got 18 points in, I think, 12 games or something. So
yeah, he opened up the scoring.
They've gotten bigger and stronger. And you know what? Those are tough games. Wednesday night, big road trip down to LaSalle. But yeah, LaSalle's a tough team, especially on their home ice. And the way we've been playing at that point, as of Wednesday, we weren't playing real good hockey. And it really reared its ugly head. And that game got uglier as the game went on. We lost Chase McQueen-Spence early in the second period. He got hit from behind into the boards. He's got an upper body injury. And then Cam Keane took a block shot off the kneecap a little later in the second, and he wasn't able to finish the game either. So the time that game was over, we already had 4 other players on the injured list. So kind of a skeleton crew down there on a lonely Wednesday night, and it showed on the scoreboard. It showed on the shots too. Like the Lincoln's having 15 shots. Come on.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw less than 20 shots by the Lincolns, Chess?
Yeah, that's just a
not too often.
Total bad game. They have to put it behind them, and I think that was the message heading into Friday night, right?
Yeah, and Friday night, my goodness, what a barn burner that was. Like, that was playoff hockey right from the puck drop. Stratford comes in, full house at the PRC Center. You guys outshoot Stratford 29-23. It was, like you had said, both teams were missing key players. Stratford has Slattery and Schmidt off with injuries. And then you guys have had Keene, McGregor, Lacko, McQueen, Spence, and Reddy out. And like I said, right from the puck drop, we're all going, holy moly, like this is a preview of what could be. Bender takes the loss. He stops 26-29. Booth Houseco, he stops 22 of 23. And just kind of take us through what you saw, Chess, from up at your perch.
Yeah, you know what, I thought I was really impressed with the way our boys came out. Those first 4 or 5 shifts, we were hitting everything that moved. We were showing our speed, we were showing our energy, and yeah, without having that full roster, I didn't know what to expect Friday night. I didn't know if the boys were shell shocked from Wednesday still, or, you know, I think they responded the way they had to. I'm sure the coaches were rattling their cage after that effort on Wednesday, and, you know, if you can't get up for a game like that on home ice Friday night, there's a problem. And I was super happy to see the way they responded. You know, like I said, right from the first face-off, it was go, 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 go. And I thought Bender had a fantastic first period. I thought the Lynx had a couple primetime opportunities in that first period. We probably could have got up 2 or 3 goals. Bender was very, very sharp. And Stratford pushed back, right? After probably 8, 9, 10 minutes, Stratford really pushed back. They showed their speed, and they showed what they can do as well. And, you know, they hung around, and they were rewarded. Bender gave them a chance, and they were rewarded with a goal, you know, about halfway through the period from the point, a little tip in, couple tips.
Hodge.
And, you know what, all of a sudden it was like, oh, are you kidding me, right? Here we go. But, you know, I think all night the Lincolns responded. Like every time the Lynx pushed, Stratford pushed back, the Lynx pushed back. It was a great hockey game up and down.
Yeah,
didn't matter who was on the ice and who wasn't on the ice. That was just a great hockey game from a bunch of, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids who loved to play hockey and they wanted to win. And I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, you mentioned Bender. He made a big left pad save on Maddox Chaput. And then Hudson, his brother, made a great cross-ice pass over to McDougall and sent him in all alone. Yeah. And then, like Halser had mentioned, he got slashed there on the wrist. I don't think he got the shot off, but Bender started off like guns a-blazing. Hodge got that first one to put Stratford up 1-0. And then in the second period, you guys got that late goal by Vortman on a beautiful no-look spin-around pass from Macaulay. And Vortman just shoveled it one-timed it past Bender. He had no chance on that one. What did you think in the second period, Halser?
Well, you know, to Chess's point, good pushback there. And I tell you what, I saw Stratford come out and do a 2-man low, 1-man high forecheck. They went out and they chased the puck down. And I thought that was the best part of the hockey game because, you know, there were admittedly a few one-handed passes attempted by defensemen on the St. Mary's end. But when Stratford came down in forecheck, that's when the game really, really took off. Like, I agree. I mean, there were 4 Stratford players on the ice in the first minute of that hockey game. St. Mary's just came out flying, played a great period, but the real issue this season for the Lincolns has been following up a good second period with a good first period. And Stratford came out and took it to them. They came out and forechecked them. And boy, Stratford's so quick. It surprises me. They don't play like that more often. Maybe they can't play that speed all game like that. They play it so quick, but boy, they were all over St. Mary's D. And I thought they were mirror images of each other, those two periods. The fact that the shots were 11-10 St. Mary's in the second, I was pretty surprised by. Basically, it was St. Mary's the better team in the first and down 1-0, and then it was Stratford the better team in the second, and then they were down 1-0 in that period with that last-minute goal by Voortman. So they must have been very frustrated going back to the room after 2 periods going, that's probably about as good as we can play, and we ended up losing that period.
Well, especially when Murphy misses an open net and they had, 2 or 3 breakaways?
Yeah, in the second.
And they just shot it 5 feet over the net.
Yeah, well, and that was it. As sharp as Bender was in the first, Buthausko was shot sharp in the second.
Absolutely.
He was fantastic. He was virtually unbeatable. The only puck that beat him all night was a tip-in.
Yeah.
I think it was Drobny that got a stick when Murphy had that open net shanker. I think Drobny's stretched out. I don't know if it did hit Buthausko, but you're right, Halser. Buthausko had a great game. Bender had a great game. Probably wishes that he could have Lincoln Moore's back, but to his defense,
Lincoln Moore owns him, dude. I'm sorry.
Well,
that's 5 goals in 3
and I
games
feel
against
bad.
him.
I feel bad because we were harping last week on the pod about Lincoln Moore not using the D as a screen and letting it rip because he's got probably the best shot in the league. And what does he do? Top of the circle. I think it was Curtin. Curtin he used as a screen and let it rip and beat Bender glove side. Like, the kid has a rocket shot and he should be using that at all. Once he gets in on the blue line, he should just be letting that wrist shot go.
The goal I found was the most amazing was the Colebrook power play, the game winner, where off the face off, it was just like the seat parted and he walked in and the Stratford guy fell on the ground. And then he just had all day to pick where he wanted to shoot.
I remember seeing the goal and turning to you guys going, I'm going to need to see the replay as to how exactly he got that loose. But if you go watch the 5-1-9, they missed the draw.
They missed it because it happened so quick.
They got the goal, but they didn't get the draw. So we still don't know how he got, obviously the defenseman got out-muscled and fell, but I didn't see who it was, nor did I see how he got leverage on him. Great job by Weir to win the draw.
Yeah.
And great patience by Colebrook, who now has 7 game-winning goals for this team this year. He's only got 15 or 16 on the season, but 7 of them are game winners.
That was a great play by Colebrook when he got in all alone, patient and just outweighted Bender, and poor Bender. Like
he was
like
dead.
It was like Moses part in the Red Sea. You got Colebrook coming in on him all alone. And Bender's like, guys, like, what? Nobody touched him. That was the crazy part of it. Right.
Whoever the D was grabbed him, and then whether he stepped on a stick or whatever fell, and then Colebrook had all day.
Yeah. That was a beauty. Real momentum changer too, right? Because it was only 5 minutes or 6 minutes into the third when he scored that, and he could just the building came alive, and just didn't give, like, I thought the third period from there on in we controlled again. Halser, I thought.
That
like
looks
Stratford
like
owned
the
the second,
Lincolns that we've known most of the season, where they got that lead, and then they were very calm. They're very good at protecting a lead. There's a reason they're first in the West at goals against, and that's because they can hold on to leads when they get it in the third period. And other than the 5-on-3 in the last minute when they were still up 2 goals, it didn't seem, especially like when Moore scored, I think everybody in the building felt like the game was over.
Yeah, that was huge.
We
won't talk about the 3 penalties in the last 8 minutes.
Three
in a row.
Well, it was unfortunate because Stratford had that 5-on-3 for over a minute, and we talked to the 2 coaches after the game, and I said to Willie, it's frustrating, I'm sure, that when you guys are losing the draws, it's like the Canadian American game when they had the 5-on-3, you lose the draws and now you're having to go and chase it and spending 15-20 seconds going back and setting up to come back again. So you really don't have the full I think it was like a minute and a half or a minute 40 that Stratford had the 2-man advantage, and it was just frustrating that they were losing those 50-50 battles. But kudos to St. Mary's, you guys played a heck of a game.
Hodkinson too, who won some huge draws down the stretch, and another shout out to Devin Colebrook, who had to come out and kill that penalty that Hodkinson took late in the game, and won 2 more faceoffs as well. So that's where I I'm standing there looking at you guys going, why isn't Hawkinson taking the draw? And I say, hey, dude, he's in the box. Oh, right. Sorry. So shout out. I thought he was the best player. You know, kudos to Colby. He was awesome. But I thought their best skater was Colebrook on Friday night.
The big thing is for St. Mary's, with all those injuries and to beat a good Stratford team who was way better Friday than they were on Monday, like that's a good confidence booster. Some of these young kids in that room, knowing they can play with the top teams when they have a lot of injuries.
I think it's difficult for Stratford to score at the best of times, and when you're missing ostensibly your top two scorers that have been there all year, you know, you're talking about a team that doesn't have a player in the top 50 in scoring, and that guy is out, and so is I think Slattery's second or third on the team in scoring outside of Ferguson, and so you're missing those two guys. Are probably more impactful offensively than the guys that St. Mary's was missing because St. Mary's has better depth.
Yeah. Sure.
So it was really hard for Stratford. But having said that, the way Booth Hauska was playing, I'm not sure it would have made a difference.
All right, let's talk about Saturday's 5-3 win over the Listowel Cyclones at the PRC. Outshoot them, Chess 43-31. Calhoun gets the win, stops 28 of 31, and Bree for the Cyclones stops 38 of 43. What did you see there on Saturday night?
Well, it looked familiar, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Again, a fantastic start. Outclassed, out-hustled, out-muscled. Everything we had to do for the first 8-9 minutes was there. You know, a couple quick goals. Colebrook again started the party, and Vortman again, right? So some of these guys are really starting to heat up, hopefully in time for the playoffs. Some guys who've been on and off all year, but they're, you know, good to see Vortman going. We need him. He's a fourth-year player. You know, he's starting to get some big goals for us. And then with the 2-0 lead, we kind of reared that ugly head again, where we've seen so much in the last month and a half. You know, we let Listowel get right back into it. There was one really tough goal, bounced off somebody and changed direction in slow motion and got between Brogan's pads. But Listowel brought it to us for the second half of that first period. They were all over us, which I remember saying to the guy beside me, I said, I can't believe this team is not going to make the playoffs. Like, because every time we played them this year, except for maybe one time, the other 3 games were really competitive. They beat us once too. And, you know, we always expect Listowel to be a good hockey team. They have been good for many, many years. Jesse's a great coach. And this year they're having a tough go. But there's times during that game where they were the best team on the ice. They just couldn't put it together for 60 minutes, obviously. It's easier said than done against a team like St. Mary's too. But it was disappointing to see us take a kind of a step back again. And I get it. It was a tough week. You got our
That's
third
a classic
game.
Trap game, HS.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, you know, it's your third game in 4 nights. Big emotional win Friday night. Great crowd. You know, all the things you needed was there. And then you got to try and get that energy back up again for Saturday. You know, the good news is they got their shit together in the third period, right? They came out. I know exactly what happened between the second and third period. And it wasn't pleasant, and they came out and responded in the third period, and fantastic to see Hudson Chaput get his first GOHL goal.
Game winner.
Right place, right time, stick on the ice, fire the puck, right? It was a beautiful goal. And then a kid that I thought was on fire Saturday night, considering most of them were kind of maybe about 80%. I thought Blake Elzinga was flying on Saturday night.
That was one of the best games he's played all year. I agree.
He was up and down the wing, and he was driving. He was dropping that shoulder, protecting the puck, driving the net. I've never seen him skate like that. He was flying, and it was good to see. And there's another guy, too. It's third-year guy, big, strong kid, plays with Haji, gives Haji a lot of space out there. And, you know, he's got his 16th goal of the year, too. And it was great to see him play that game. I thought he was on just fantastic on Saturday night. So, you know what? They got the job done. They got the 2 points that they desperately needed to stay in this top 3 match. And, you know, I'm sure there's a few things they'd like to clean up from that game. But all in all, we won't be too hard on them. You know, 3 games in 4 nights. They got 4 out of 6 points. You know, now they got to really it doesn't get any easier here. We got to bear down. We got a tough St. Thomas team Wednesday night down there, and they're hungry. They're fighting for their lives for the last playoff spot.
Yeah, so them and Waterloo are fighting for the 8th and final spot. You've got you go to St. Thomas on Wednesday, and then Friday night you got first place Elmira Sugar Kings in town, and man, oh man, are the standings tight. So Elmira's in first with 73 points, and they're also tied for first with Chatham, who has 73 points. Both have played 47 games. You guys have played one more game and have 72 points. You're one behind. And then London has jumped up due to Stratford's going ice cold 0-3 the past week. They're now tied for fourth with 66 points. And then you've got LaSalle and Strathroy tied for sixth with 51. And then, like we just said, we've got St. Thomas and Waterloo battling it out. St. Thomas has played one less game and have 47 points to Waterloo's 46 points. So lots of stuff going on. That is going to be a huge game for you guys Friday night. If you guys win out and then Stratford goes down to Chatham, who knows? You guys may end up in first. Like, it is so tight that you guys could end up in third and you could end up in first quite easily. So,
well, and the positive thing there, where I'm kind of looking at is Stratford's had good success in Chatham the last 2 seasons, right? They've got a handful of wins down there, and they got something to play for too in Chatham on Sunday. They're playing for home ice against London, and
yeah,
so I think that's going to be a really competitive game. I don't know how much Chatham's going to have as far as motivation. I think they're pretty comfortable where they are, but it'll be a good game against 2 storied franchises for sure. And I think it's important for us to really take care of St. Thomas Wednesday night, beat Elmira, give ourselves a chance for second at the minimum. I really think we want to stay out of that third spot. It potentially could be LaSalle, and I don't think there's a whole lot of
they're a dangerous team right now. They're 7-3.
They're kind of reverse. Like the last 2 seasons, they had really good starts, and in the last 2 seasons, they both years they faded, and they were easy outs in the first round. They really went down the standings. I think LaSalle was in first place at the Christmas break last year, and they just disappeared the second half of the season. This is a different team this year. Like I said, they've added some guys with some OHL experience. Winbeal is playing really well, and they're not your typical 6th seed, but this is the West Division where you can go up and down those top 8 teams, and nobody really deserves to be a 7 or 8 seed either. So
they're the second hottest team. LaSalle is 7-3, their last 10. The hottest team is Chatham, 8-1-1. Elmira is 6-3, 0-1, and you guys are 5-5. London 6-3, 0-1, and Stratford 6-2-2. But and then you got the Rockets. They're 6-3, 0-1 too. So it is tight. It is tight.
Well,
only St. Thomas separate the top 5 teams, right?
Yeah.
So.
Big game is Wednesday too, right? Chatham at Elmira.
Chatham at Elmira Wednesday. Yep.
So you don't need an overtime there either. You just need somebody to win a regulation. That way, you don't want both teams to get a point.
No.
Elmira's got Chatham Wednesday, at St. Mary's Friday, and then they go to Sarnia to end it up on Sunday. Chatham is in Elmira Wednesday, at Kamoka on Saturday, and then host Stratford on Sunday. So that should be interesting. But all right, Chess, looking forward to see where the chips all fall. Can't wait to have the playoffs start, and we really look forward to hopefully having a Stratford St. Mary's matchup in the second round. That would be electric, looking at what we saw there Friday night at the PRC. And that was fun. We went over to Joe's Diner, and some of us had meatloaf, right, Schenker? Some of it,
it was very good.
Some people cheated and ordered meatloaf before I got there.
Oh, wow.
Nice guys.
That's rough. Did you have a VIP pass, Halser?
Doesn't much matter now, does it, when somebody comes from Stratford and steals my meatloaf?
Right? Yeah.
They wanted to give us first-timers the taste of it.
Steal my meatloaf again. I'm going to strap you to that bus, boyo.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
All right, Chess.
Have a good week.
Thanks, you as well.
Yeah.
Chris Chessel from Chester's Perch will listen to our sponsors from Deal Sports Group, and then we'll be right back with Rhett Chussell.
Rhett's Roundup, sponsored by Deal Sports Group, specializing in custom teamwear, uniforms, and apparel such as hockey, baseball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, and more. Our online stores are used mainly as a fundraising platform. We create custom designs for clothing and hard goods. They're purchased through the DSG website and shipped to the team organizer. A 20% kickback is given to the association or individual team. We also sell promotional corporate apparel and hard goods and offer many different decoration options that include embroidery, DTF prints, sublimation, twill, leather patched, and a lot more.
How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Well, we got
Hey,
a
Rhett.
great game to talk about. Went on last night over in Elmira. The London Nationals jumped out to a quick 3-0 lead and then ended having that fall away by the wayside, and they end up losing 5-4 in a shootout, which were huge points for both teams. You had Elmira outshoot London 41-33. Winning goalie was Connor Harmon from the New Hamburg Firebirds for the Sugar Kings. And then you had Dante Bertolin. He stopped 36 of 40, but huge win for a goalie. I don't know where Reed was, but
I believe both of my goalies are injured
okay.
at the moment.
That is
So
not
that
good
could be-
news with the
No.
playoffs around the corner. Take us through. I said how London had a 3-0 lead at the end of the first. What do you see on the box score after that?
Well, after the first period, I was like, oh, well, I thought the game was over at 3-0 with an AP goalie in, but I guess you never count out Elmira. It's something we're going to have to figure out. Never count out the Elmira Sugar Kings. I really wanted London to win that game in regulation. It would help the Lincolns out tremendously, but that didn't happen. But it's good. It's good for Elmira. They got the win. They got into two important points. I actually watched the overtime. It was very entertaining.
Oh yeah,
I believe London had two breakaways. Elmira had some really good chances, and then overtime Elmira got too many men, but they didn't score. So missed opportunity. But then Kyle Morey and Brandon Gerber scored in the shootout to win the shootout 2-1. I believe Campo was the only goal for London.
that's right.
So yeah, it was a really good game.
Yeah, Pomerleau and Adams missed for London. Campo scored, and for Elmira, Brunton missed, and like you said, Morey and Gerber scored. Former Stratford Warrior McGurn opened up the scoring for London, and then Wood and McCaslin had it goals to make it 3-0, and then Gravel and Ratcliffe made it 3-2 at the end of 2. And then your buddy Kyle Morey, he tied it up. He made it 3-3 on assist from Gerber and Rive. And then London went up with Slot getting his 7th. And then Warlow ended up tying it up with just over 4 minutes to go, 4:04 left in the third. And OT didn't solve anything. And then, like we just said, they went into the shootout. But I don't know if you heard us talking to your dad earlier, but Elmira and Chatham are tied with 73 points. You guys are 1 point behind, but have played one more game. And it's tight. It's tight at the top. And so those games, you guys go to St. Thomas Wednesday and you got Elmira in town on Friday. Those are huge games. So all weekend, there's a lot of good games going on. And then I'm even considering maybe going down to Chatham on Sunday.
You had to be happy with the crowd that showed up Friday.
Oh, it was honestly a playoff game. We even got some Go Links Go chants in the middle in February, which is, you don't see that. Like, I think it was sold out, but I don't know.
1250.
I think there was more than that. There's freebies.
Because I thought there's definitely over 1,000. The 50-50 was over 2,000.
Yeah, it was over 2,000.
$2,100, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine winning $2,000. Wouldn't that be just freaking awesome?
So, Rhett, you put the gasoline and the matches away for another week?
We'll see. I guess we'll see. I'm gonna have to bring him out if we play LaSalle, though. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm afraid to play LaSalle. It's gonna
you
not.
guys do not want to play them.
No
Not
one.
at
If we
all.
play LaSalle, it's gonna go 7 games.
Yeah, it's well, like we talked about with your dad, they've picked up Brocklehurst and Costello, and you've got Winbeal playing lights out. They are a scary team. And then Seth Ronan, shout out to Seth Ronan.
Yeah.
He was player of the week last week for the West. And so Strathroy is another team that people don't want to run into. They just beat Stratford back to back this week. So a lot of good teams, a lot of good goalies. That is absolutely terrible news for the Sugar Kings.
Yeah,
That both their goalies are injured.
yeah. They've been injured for 2 weeks now.
Yeah, that is not good. So
No.
hopefully Connor Harmon can hold the fort until Reed and the other goalie get healthy again. It's going to be exciting. You guys got some big games like everybody else does this weekend, and we look forward to talking with you next Monday, Rhett, once we see where the dust settles.
Well, hopefully we're not talking about LaSalle St. Mary's matchup. Hopefully we'll be talking about a Stratford or St. Thomas. It's just much better for travel wise, for fan wise, and I will not be going to LaSalle on a Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Well, LaSalle should win both their games. They play
They play
Listowel on
and
Wednesday
Sarnia this week.
and then Sarnia on Thursday. So they should, as where Strathroy's got back-to-back against London. If you guys end up in third spot, you'll be playing LaSalle. So that is not ideal.
No, we need to beat St. Thomas Friday night regulation. Beat Elmira in regulation Friday night. Hope Elmira loses to Chatham Wednesday night in regulation. Chatham can have first. I don't care. Chatham, you can have first. I'm okay with that. And then let's hope Stratford beats Chatham in regulation
That
Sunday
would be
night.
Nice.
And then
We want Stratford to end up in fourth.
Yeah, well, you guys can have home ice. And
That's the
St.
only
Mary's finishes
series.
first. You never know.
Yeah, that's the only series that is set so far, Stratford and London. We just don't know who's going to have home ice advantage. The other three series are up in the air. So,
Yeah, well, the East is almost decided. The East is decided. That's just the East. 1 through 8 is already clinched.
I was pleasantly surprised to see Fort Erie's goalie win Player of the Week too. They picked him up from a northern team because they lost.
Raphael Tremblay.
Because they lost Finn Moffat.
Yeah, they lost him to the Q. And
2 months ago was the Player of the Month.
Yeah, exactly. So for them to pick up a goalie who has just stepped in and hasn't missed a beat, I think he's 6-2 in his last 8 games I was reading.
Yep.
So shout out to him.
That's a good team down there, man.
That is a top team down there, Shanker. You're absolutely right. And don't be surprised if they come out of the East.
I agree.
Look out for Pelham as well.
Watch out for Pelham.
Yep.
They got to stay out of the
really
box.
good team.
Well, that's the thing is that they're in fourth.
Yeah.
And they're one of the top 5 teams in the league in goals against. And they're doing that while they're second in the league in penalty minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're a tough team to play against, man. So
Zach Ronaldo, look who's leading him, right? Like he's
he's a
hard-nosed player.
That first round matchup with Port Colborne, that is going to be probably the best series of all of them. That is going to be a hell of a series.
Yeah.
4 or 5 matchup any year in this league is just amazing. We saw that last year with Caledonia.
Well, they had not only that, but those two teams had, I believe, over 100 minutes and penalties in a game. They don't like each other. On top of that,
they're going to kill each other, just like Stratford and London are just.
Sounds like a road trip.
Yeah, Pelham's got over 1,000 penalty minutes.
Yeah,
they got 1,066.
Jeez. That's
I'd like to see Stratford and London surprise me and not be a Nolan Ryan series.
Yeah.
All right, Rhett. Well, we look forward to hearing what you have to say there next Monday. Enjoy your Yes. Well, we're definitely going to be doing a Warrior Lincoln playoff preview. So I think that'll
Predictions
probably.
or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll be doing. All right. Rhett Chessel from Rhett's Roundup. We'll hear from our sponsors and we'll be right back. Okay. Final thoughts. Schenker, what are your final thoughts for this week?
Well, I got a dandy. My shout out goes to the PJHL Hanover Barons on their first round sweep over Wingham on a Game 4 5-4 win in 5 overtimes. Alex McGivry scored his 6th goal of the playoffs, second of the game at 3:48 of the 5th overtime in a game that took 5 hours and 5 minutes and finished at 1:05 Saturday morning. Shots were 87-65 for Hanover. Now, Hanover is the defending PJHL champs, and they went 33-7 in the regular season and didn't finish first. Fergus finished 1 point ahead of them. So it's quite the first round, and 5 overtimes is crazy.
That is crazy. Halzer, your final thoughts.
I just want to talk about the fact that the Jays signed Max Scherzer to a 1-year deal, $3 million base salary with as much as $10 million in incentives. Obviously, Bieber is going to be late to the party. So I guess the question that I'm having is, how sour are they on Jose Barrios when you just keep signing starters? And, Barrios pitched against the Yankees on Saturday or Sunday, had an okay appearance. We never make too much out of it. With Barrios, it's always about location. That two-seamer that breaks so much, if he doesn't locate that right, he throws it on the inside of the plate and it breaks into the middle and ends up with a sore neck. Because guys hit it so far, he's got to try and follow it. So it's really interesting to me that they just keep on, like, that's 7 starters they've got now. And Max is going to pitch down the stretch, that. So what are they doing with Barrios? Are they going to, it looks like he'll start the year in the rotation because neither Bieber nor Max will be ready. So are they auditioning him? Are they showcasing him? Is that the situation where they're just trying to get a couple of good starts out of him and then somebody will come along and trade for them? I have no idea what's going on there. I just think it's really weird that you've got 6 bona fide starters and some depth in the minors that can step up and pitch and some long relief. You've got Eric Lauer too as a 7th guy, and you go out and sign Max. So I want to know what exactly is up with Jose Barrios. He just seems like an odd man out, but he's making way too much money to be down in the bullpen.
Speaking of Max Scherzer, did you hear what he did today?
No.
He is donating $2.5 million to needy families in the Toronto area, and it will personally appear to distribute food, clothing, and gifts to the homeless and to the poor. So
very cool.
How cool is that?
That's
Basically, he's
cool.
playing for
Gesture.
free this year, right? I mean, he's got a $3 million contract. He's given up 2.5 for needy people, man. That's the difference between Max Scherzer and Austin Matthews, I guess.
All right. For Ian Schenk and Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. You've been listening to the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our socials on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
See you, everyone.
Of Indy Mortgage, the independent mortgage company serving customers from coast to coast with access to well over 50 lending options available. Give Nick a call as he works for you, not the banks. FISRA license number 12403.
Yes, Guy. Clarky's in the house with the new merch.
Razor, what's happening?
Not too much. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Picked it up. There's a guy scalping tickets out at the PRC Friday night when I rocked in and picked up
Who's
this
buying?
lid.
Who's selling?
Yep, that's right.
Who needs tickets?
That's right.
Love it. Yeah. Shout out to Deal Sports Group, Ryan and Sherry. They did a great job getting us some merch. We got hoodies, we got hats, and they're soon to release the website where people can go on. I've been getting requests. How do we buy some of your merch? I love your logo and want to get some stuff. So just be patient. They're almost ready to reveal the website where people can go on. And I told them, like I've said before on other podcasts, the less involved I am, the way better it's going to run. So people will be able to go on to the site directly, order whatever they want, pay for it, and then figure out whether they want it delivered. They pick it up. So yeah, it'll be good. We're looking forward to it. So
Yeah,
but,
great logo. Gear looks good, and
yeah,
the muscle tops will be in for the summer.
yeah, and you were mentioning about somebody wanting a leather vest with the logo on it. So
Yeah, Halser's looking forward to the spring weather and walking around the river, supporting some of that stuff. So we look
can't
forward
wait.
to that.
Can't wait for him to be doing that. He was a little bit sour there on Friday night, where he usually goes over to Joe's Diner before the Lincoln's game. And so I told him Schenker and I were going to join him. And we got there before he did and ordered the last 2 pieces of meatloaf. So he was a little bit grumpy when
Yeah.
when he ordered it and they told him they were sold out. So he'll get over it though.
Oh yeah, you got over it in about 2 hours in the link.
That's right.
W. So.
The fish and chips hit the spot and had him forgetting about it quite quickly.
Yeah,
so
I bet. Yeah, great spot, Joe's.
Shout out to Joe's Diner. They look after you very well before and after the Lincoln and Warrior games here in Stratford. So, all right, well, let's get to it. Tough week for the Stratford Warriors. You guys go 0-3. Tough losses. Now you guys are down 2 of your top scorers, and Slattery and Schmidt are not playing. They didn't play all week. Tough OT loss against these pesky Strathroy Rockets. You lose 1-0. You outshoot the Rockets 38-11, and the guy from St. Mary's and St. Paul's were actually texting me saying, have they only had like 1 shot in the first and 2 shots in the second? And I said, yeah, apparently that's all they got. Hurst takes the loss. He stops 10 of 11. And Seth Ronan, who we gave him a shout out earlier on the podcast, he was player of the week for the West. He stopped 38 of 38 for the shutout. Take us through what you saw there on Monday night against the Rockets.
Yeah, it's difficult to watch when you outplay a team that badly and end up coming out on the wrong end of it. You know, I think I text in the group chat. This kind of reminded me of Sunday,
right?
The Olympic game when I thought Canada outplayed the U.S. quite a bit, and the only thing that was close in that game was the score. So same with that one Monday night. You know, I think we did everything that we wanted to do in the game other than score a goal, and unfortunately, goals are pretty big in hockey games. So, yeah. They found a way. And even on the game winner, right, it was a rebound after another save that Gage made. And it's just one of those things when you play the teams that tightly, or the game is that tight against any team, some nights it just doesn't go your way. But you mentioned the pesky Rockets, and they're going to drive whoever they draw nuts in the first round.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we're going to avoid them for the first round of the playoffs here for sure. But they are a team that just doesn't quit, and they can be a team like, Monday night. They were, I don't know what their coaching staff would say about their game, but they were obviously outplayed for the majority of that night, but they found a way, right? They're able to strike when they get an opportunity. And that's what happened. And great for them. Tough week for us coming off, a really great 10 days previous. And it's the Western Conference, right? Yeah. You can be so close yet so far. And just a tough night all around. Results wise, right? You leave the rink not feeling great. You feel like you deserve better, but it is what it is. I mean, that's about the best thing I can say. It's frustrating. It sucks. Everyone's pissed off, but I mean, that's our league and that's our division.
Yeah, it's to put even more salt on the wound. earlier in OT, Coward passes it over to Galbraith when you guys were 3-on-3. Galbraith at the top of the circle. He used Jazuski to screen Ronan and let go a rocket shot, rings it right off the post. Like
The
he
post
had
was still ringing. Like you couldn't have hit it anymore.
No, he
Solid.
couldn't have. And Ronan didn't even see it. And that's why I always say use that D as a screen. Like Lincoln Moore did it there Friday night against you guys. Galbraith did it against the Rockets. Guys, use that last D as a screen. And he rings it off the post. And then back the other way, you got LeBlanc coming down with the puck. You had mentioned about the save that Hurst made. I think it was his glove that went off his glove. And originally I thought it was his pad, but then when I watched the 5-1-9, I think it was his glove. It bounced off. And Ritson, my God, what can you say that we haven't already said about the guy? He got loose and ended up putting it into the empty cage. So you guys lose.
Macklin Celebrini stick.
Oh, just unbelievable. London Knights draft pick. So they're really, the Hunters are really doing their homework when they got a guy like Ritson just waiting to join their team probably next year or in the near future. So you end up losing Monday night. Then when you go to St. Mary's on Friday night, and it's a tough loss there.
Another good game, right?
Yeah, another good one. You guys get outshot 29-23, but we had said with Chester, right from the puck drop, it was a playoff intent atmosphere. Like it was back and forth and hits and big saves by both goalies. Bender in the first couple of periods had to make some really big saves and until Hodge scored for you guys. But, I had also mentioned earlier that Slattery and Schmidt were out for you guys, and Keene, McGregor, Lacko, McQueen, Spence, and Reddy were out for the Lincolns. But take us through what you saw there on Friday night at the PRC.
Yeah, it's a broken record, right? Like, I mean, it's another tight one between us and St. Mary's. And, I think it really showed the depth both teams had. St. Mary's was missing more guys than we were that night. But, I don't think the game was any less of a game without all those guys playing in it either. I just think that's credit to what the St. Mary's management group has done and the coaching staff, and the same with our group here in Stratford. I think we've got really, really good players top to bottom, and they're going to battle each and every night when we get to the rink. So, it was a frustrating night for me as a Warrior fan. We had a lot of really missed opportunities in the second period to get up a little more. We were perfect at rifling pucks off the glass and not hitting the net. We had a stretch in the second period there of about probably 6 or 7 minutes where we had some really clean looks and really good shooting areas, and we never hit the net once. So, that's the frustrating part to, you work and work and work so much to get those opportunities. And then, for going off the glass, the puck can just be dumped in the corner. Like, I mean, it's the same effect, right? Like, we got to get pucks on net, and good things happen when you put puck in the net. I mean, everybody knows that story. So frustrating at that part, of the game. Giving up a goal in the last minute of the second period was real difficult too. I thought we had played a good period, and then we kind of took our foot off the gas in the forecheck, and we got hemmed in our zone, and it went around a couple times with some cycles, and then a really nice play by them from the back of the net out front for a goal to tie the game. And then we lost it in the third on another really, really nice goal. Lincoln Moore scored. You talked about it earlier. Using the defenseman, has got a great release and just a great shot that beat Noah. And, for me, it was more of a one-goal game. The second goal, if anyone's seen it or not, it's a penalty kill for us. The puck gets dropped, and just I still don't know how to explain it. We had 4 guys skate past the puck, and their guy was just standing there by himself and just one-on-one with Noah and deked him for a goal. So, I think I've said this on the podcast before. In our league, it's really tough when you're playing the opponent and yourself. And, and that's the difference, right? That little mistake there that left a guy all alone gets them up 2-1. And then, we're trading chances back and forth, and Moore rips that one in the third period. And that's the difference. The game's over. We had a good pushback with the goalie pulled, and they took a couple penalties late. But all in all, another great game. That was the fourth of the season for us against them. And I think every goal was a 1-goal game with a couple empty netters, other than this one that went then 3-1. So I think for great parts of that game, we were the better team, and then traded with them, and they were the better team. Like, I think we're really, really close when we're clicking on all cylinders here. It's the thing for us when we play a team like that is we got to play for 60 minutes the way that we can play. If our forecheck is going and our skates are moving, we're really, really good, and we can hem them in and frustrate them. And I think we did a really good job in the neutral zone of slowing them up when they were coming out with their controlled breakout. We were turning a lot of pucks over, or they were dumping pucks to nowhere, and we could break it right back out. So, a lot of really good things to see. But again, you want to come out on the right end and win those hockey games. And unfortunately, we didn't. So, we're not going to see them again until possibly a potential matchup here in the playoffs, which would be great for not only Stratford and St. Mary's, but I think for the league. You're going to close in on 2,000 fans a night in either rink. So, that's when that does happen at some point, whether it's this year in the future when there's a playoff series between these two teams, it's going to be epic.
There was over 1,200 people there on Friday night. The 50-50 was over 2,000. Like, that usually doesn't happen until the playoffs. And everyone that we talked to was just so excited about the matchup. That night was great atmosphere, electric. I was just very impressed with how Bender started off the game. He made a big left pad save on Maddox Chaput, and he robbed Weir point blank in the second period. He was doing the spread eagle, and Weir was right off to his glove side. And he had the pad, and Weir couldn't get it up over his pad. But both goalies, I thought, played extremely well. And it's just unfortunate. You guys have terrible puck luck playing against the St. Mary's Lincolns for some reason. And we talked to Coach Williams there after the game. Halser and I interviewed Bradley and Williams, and he just basically said, we got to win more 50-50 battles and make them 80-20 battles. Like on the 5-on-3, you guys were losing draws and then having to go and retrieve the puck and losing 15-20 seconds, going down and resetting and stuff. And so fortunately, it's not a be-all, end-all, but now that you guys are on a 3-game losing streak, London's all of a sudden caught up to you, and now it's a race to the finish. And so speaking
we're
of
tied right now with 2 games left to go each. They've got the pesky Rockets twice, and there's no easy game for us. We got Waterloo and Chatham. They have the tiebreak going into the playoffs, so we need to end up with one more point than they do in these next 2 games. So we'll see what happens, but really, we know who we're playing. We know who we have to be prepared for, whether we start at the road or we start at home. So, we got to be ready for those guys.
Speaking of Strathroy, you guys went down there Saturday. You lost 4-2. You outshoot the Rockets 34-22. Hurst gets the loss. He stops 18 of 22, and Ronan got the win, stopping 32 of 34. And just kind of take us through what happened down there in Strathroy on Saturday.
They just had some timely scoring, right? They scored a couple more goals through defensemen, using them as screens. And if anybody's been to that rink or knows that rink, it feels like it's quite a bit smaller than the Alm. And things happen really quick there. So just another night where I think, we were better at putting pucks on net Saturday night than we were Friday night. But, we just cannot find the back of the net right now in the last 3 games. It's dried up on us. So we're still putting lots of pucks towards the net. We're doing things the right way. We're working hard. But we got to figure out how to create more traffic to the net and get more pucks on net for second chance opportunities. We got to do a little more net drive, and we're a week away from the really ugly part of the season here, right? We get the playoffs, and every slash on the skates and every net drive and bumping into a goalie and getting there and having a puck go off your ass or your knee. Those are the really things that win playoff series. And it's not usually top end guys, it's usually our depth guys that are willing to pay that price and pay that heavy price in the corners and net front and take a bunch of cross checks and take a slap shot off the ankle once in a while. And good things will happen if you're going to do those things. So we got to get back to doing those things, and good things will come our way here.
The only series right now that is solidified is you guys in London. What we don't know is who's going to get home ice advantage. You guys in London are locked in at 4-5. You guys have Waterloo coming to town on Friday. Then Sunday you go to Chatham to finish off your season. London has a home and away with Strathroy. Wednesday they host Strathroy, and then Saturday they go to Strathroy. So 2 tough games that the Nationals have as well. The team that everybody seems to forget about and aren't talking about as much as LaSalle. And Jake Winbeal, he's another goalie that can single-handedly cause teams a lot of problems. And then they've got Brocklehurst, the Windsor Spitfires pick up, but they're a team, both Rhett and Chris Chessel were saying that they did not want to have to play LaSalle if they had any choices about that. So that's why it's important for them to not end up in third. If LaSalle ends up in sixth, then they do not want to end up in third, they were saying. So that's why their games really mean a lot to them. So
yeah, I'll tell you a quick little story. Back when I was coaching the Listowel Cyclones, we finished that year in 7th, but I think we rifled off 13 in a row to end the regular season to finish 7th. So you can imagine where we were prior to those 13 games. And we ended up winning the Cherry Cup that year. And so, we knocked off all the top teams, and we just had it going at the right time. And, those teams right now, Strathroy and LaSalle are, ticking kind of to that drum. Teams like Strathroy and LaSalle, they're playing that way right now. So they're going to be very, very dangerous, whoever their first round opponents are. So it's going to be exciting in the Western Conference here. Like I don't expect in years past that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are just going to have an easy walk here in the first round.
No. And St. Thomas and Waterloo are neck and neck for the 8th and final spot. But the 2 hottest teams in the West right now are Chatham and LaSalle. Chatham's 8-1-1, and LaSalle's 7-3. And so it's tight. It's really tight. And like I said, you guys know who you're playing. It's just a matter of, are we going to London to open it up, or are we hosting it on Friday night at the Almond?
Yeah, either way, we'll be ready, right? And I think I've said it to you in the past and other guys. If a lot of people talk about that, and of course we want home ice, right? We want that extra home game if needed, but if you can't win on the road in the playoffs, you're not going anywhere, anyways. So, home ice is a great luxury and it's nice, but you have to be able to win on the road and win some ugly, tight hockey games, and usually that happens on the road as you're trying to keep it close and capitalize on your chances. So I have no doubt our staff and our players will be ready to go. We have to work as hard as we can this week and try and solidify that 4 spot so we do have a 7th and deciding game in our home rink if we can get it or we get there. But either way, we'll be ready for the Nationals, and we're going to try our luck and work our hardest and see what happens.
Well, hopefully both Slattery and Schmidt will be available when the playoffs start next week, Clarky. So thanks so much for doing this. We look forward to hearing more about how you guys do on the weekend and where you guys are seated. And appreciate you coming on as always, brother.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome. And we look forward to hopefully finding the net a few times this weekend and see what happens. But we'll chat next week.
All right. Yeah, we don't need any field goals. Boys, hit the net. You got 4 by 6 to hit, so feel free to take a shot at it. So
that's right.
All right,
Okay.
Jason Clark, Director of Hockey Operations. We'll hear from our sponsors and we'll be right back.
Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Call Bick Heating and Cooling for all your heating, cooling, and plumbing needs. Proud Rude Pro partner. BickHeatCool.com or 226-921-4848. Your home team specialists. Taking care of Stratford and area since 2013. Veld Painting, servicing Stratford and surrounding area. With over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs, on time and on budget. Eisen Canada Inc. is a trusted automotive parts manufacturer located in Stratford, Ontario. As part of the global Eisen Group, the company produces precision components like door frames, sunroofs, touch sensor systems, and power back doors. Supplying leading automakers such as Toyota and Lexus, Eisen Canada is committed to quality, innovation, and excellence in manufacturing.